I am here with Thomas, and you made some news today, so we're going to talk about it. First of all, tell me, where are you from and what's been your experience so far dealing with COVID?
Yeah, I mean, originally I'm from Argentina, but I grew up in South Florida in Miami-Dade County for a while now. And yeah, it's just, it's been pretty terrible here. Since March, we have seen sort of a slowly creep up of COVID-19 cases in the state. Just a few weeks ago, you had the Governor Ron DeSantis, claiming victory over the pandemic here. He actually threw what I describe as a temper tantrum, honestly, in front of the media, where he was basically accusatory and indignant at folks that questioned what was happening in the state. And just a few weeks later, now we're seeing record-breaking cases almost every day. Over 4,300 people have died. There's no sense of political leadership, no plan. Hospital ICUs are at capacity all over the state. And yeah, there's no, as other states are getting through this, opening back up, other countries are getting through this. Florida is in worse shape than ever before, and there's no sense of a horizon as to when this is going to end.
And before I show the clip, because obviously, you confronted him today, which nobody in the media seems to want to do. Basically, from my understanding, he opened the economy very, very quickly before all of the parameters were met for safe opening. Do you feel that was because it's an election year and Florida is key and he wanted to, help President Trump, who he's been close with? What do you think went into that decision to open up Florida before it was ready?
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, not only did they open too early, but they also closed really late. And a lot has happened since, but I'm sure people will remember headlines around the time of spring break, because Florida refused to close its beaches, to really shut down the spring break operation right here in South Florida. And it's just been that, the lack of political will, the lack of political leadership, lack of responsibility that has really encompassed all decisions around this public health crisis. I believe, and it's been reported, that DeSantis is really taking cues, as you said, from Trump, right? They believe that, this is going to go away. Let's pretend like it never happened. Let's just push through this. They're really doing a de facto herd immunity strategy, which now we know that people can get, or it seems that people can get reinfected twice over, maybe more. So that's probably not going to work either. And now we are facing the consequence of that, right? Other states did bad things, good things, but a lot of states did what they had to do, and they're moving on, right? They're getting through this. Other countries, New Zealand, for example, they've managed to bring this under control. Florida, again, it was all, as you said, politically motivated. All the decisions were a calculation around November, around the economy, keeping things going, keeping people back at their jobs. And the worst part is that if you see the curve, when things closed down in the curve here in Florida for as little as they did, it was when, cases were still pretty down. And now that they're worse than ever, there's a huge spike, record-breaking cases every day. They're talking about sending our kids back to in-person classes. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous what's happening in Florida.
And let me show what happened today. Where was Governor DeSantis? In Miami?
Yeah, it was at Jackson Memorial Hospital.
Okay, so this is Thomas getting up front, doing more than any journalist has done, which says a lot about the journalists in Florida. Here we go.
You are an embarrassment. You are an embarrassment. We're getting record-breaking cases every day, and you are doing nothing. You are falsifying information, and you are misleading the public. Over 4,000 people have died, and you are blaming the protesters. You guys have no plan, and you're doing nothing. Shame on you. Shame on you. Don't touch social distance. Don't touch me. Shame on both of you. You guys are misleading the public. You have no plan. 4,000 people have died. and we're getting record cases every day. Every day. Shame on you. You should resign, Ron DeSantis. Resign.
So obviously, one thing that stands out there is he's not wearing a mask, similar to Trump in most cases. What kind of sparked you? Obviously, you went out of your way to be there. What kind of sparked you at this point to challenge him? Because my assumption is you were hoping to get some press and attention out of this.
Yeah, and I'll add that, there's not a statewide mask mandate, but there is a recently ordered, like, Miami-Dade County mask mandate. So, again, Governor DeSantis, just like Trump, they come to this county, they pretend that they're above the rules, that they don't have to follow what all of us, else have to follow. And it's in the interest of public health, right? Like, the masks are mandated because they're proven to stop the spread of the virus. It's a really simple thing that we can all do to take care of one another. So I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, I just went because, I live in this state. DeSantis, unfortunately, is my governor. Carlos Jimenez is my mayor. I live in Miami-Dade County, also unfortunately. And I don't feel like they have my best interest in mind. I never feel that way. But now they're politically motivated to have a public health implication that, can get me sick, can possibly kill me, as 4,381 other people. That is, destroying small businesses. It's destroying the economy of the state because they won't do the things that we need to do to just get through this. And I just felt like I needed to go, and I needed to say my piece, right? To tell them that, they are an embarrassment. Shame on them. People have died. I feel like people need to do that more. People need to go and confront, challenge elected officials, especially when they're messing up this bad.
Right. And what kind of boggles my mind is, it's the summer. So obviously Florida's sunny all year round, but particularly now people want to get out to the beaches, to bars, this and that. But if he would have just, shut things down for 3-4 weeks, yeah, people would have been upset, but had some pain in the beginning, you wouldn't be seeing. I mean, they had the single record yesterday, 15,000, more than New York had at its highest. So what do you think is the reason that he's refused to do that? Is it because Florida is such a tourist economy that any type of shutdown, he was focusing a lot more on the economy, more importantly, his political ambitions, because obviously if the economy tanks, not good for your political career. What is going into this guy's mind? We saw the political ads, him with the MAGA Lego and all that disheartening stuff. But why the living in an alternate reality this man seems to be?
Because they are living in an alternate reality. Remember, the reason why a lot of people in this country are not wearing a mask and it's become so politicized, I believe it's because Trump himself has refused to wear a mask until a couple of days ago. That signaled to their base, to his supporters, that this is a political issue to stand their ground on. So they politicized something as simple as wearing a mask in the middle of a pandemic, right? And there are a lot of political and special interests in Florida that are pushing against a closure of the economy, even though doing that from the get-go would have allowed us to get on with businesses as many other states and countries, right? You have Disney World that just reopened. They went viral for that creepy welcome home video on Twitter that people were spoofing, but it's not funny, right? Because they're going to be a major center where people go and the virus gets propagated. You have the tourism industry, hospitality industry, and these special interests are really pushing against the advice of public health experts. You have to remember that back a couple of months ago, when people were calling on Trump to invoke the Defense Production Act to order certain companies to build ventilators, right? When there was that shortage of ventilators, and there still is. The reason why he didn't do so initially for a number of weeks was because of pressure from retail industry and other industry lobbyists against him doing that, right? Because these companies were like, no, you just want to keep making money, want to keep doing what we're doing. We don't want to do our civic duty, right? What is needed for the public benefit at this time. So it's just the cult of profit against public well-being, honestly.
And, you know, Florida obviously is a key state. Some political pundits say if Trump doesn't win Florida, he's toast. Do you think that is going into this as far as, you know, Trump and Republicans' calculation? And when I say Trump, obviously DeSantis is on board with Trump, is somehow it'll be, you know, a winning issue for them in Florida if they get the schools open. You know, Florida starts a little early, so as soon as next month.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, right? I mean, the school issue is complicated, right? Because you have a ton of working class people that, you know, either are working from home or are not working from home in a lot of cases still. And, you know, it's complicated for them to have their kids at their house, you know, to have to live like this, right? But the reality is that if you open up the schools with us having 12 to 15,000 cases daily, right? The kids can get sick at school. They come back home. They get their parents sick. Then you have to quarantine the kids. You have to quarantine the parents. There's a lot, you know, there's liability issues around the schools. There's a whole mess around what's going to happen around just having in-person classes. And again, I think we really got to the heart of the matter, right? Which is like, if they would have done what they needed to do 3 months ago, we could have just closed everything down, gotten testing, tested everybody, you know, just acted responsibly, following the guidance of public health officials. We would have been over this, like many other states and many other countries. And now schools are reopening, you know, summer is wrapping up, we're entering the fall, things are worse than ever before. It's just ridiculous.
In Florida, there was a real, I think they fired actually somebody who was a whistleblower because she was saying that they were basically cooking the books to underreport the cases. This was several weeks ago. Can you kind of talk about what you mean when you were accusing the governor of manipulating the data?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they fired this data scientist that was responsible for the Florida dashboard. You know, up to very recently, like, journalists were not able to get proper data around hospital beds, ICU beds. And when we finally were able to gather that data, you know, it showed that hospital ICUs were over capacity or almost at capacity all over the state. Miami-Dade, Broward, Orange County, which are, you know, really populous, you know, metropolitan areas of the state. And just all kinds of data manipulation, you know, like the stuff around the unemployment benefit claims. It's just been a really sophisticated effort to manipulate public opinion and hide what's happening from the public. And I think they were able to do it while things weren't so bad a couple of weeks ago. But when things really got out of hand all of a sudden, and, you know, it wasn't just about hiding the amount of ICUs at hospitals, but it was the fact that hospital ICUs were at capacity and people were on these long waiting lists and not being able to get treatment. And tests, you know, tests right now are taking 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks to get results. You know what I mean? And there's, you know, they were trying to not do as much testing, right? Because, like Trump says, right, more testing is going to lead to more cases, which is insane. But as things got worse, it just became harder and harder to hide the scope of what was happening, right? So it just kind of all spilled into view.
Mm-hmm. And can you kind of talk about, obviously Florida, we know about the seniors, which are greatly at risk, but Miami area, which is the epicenter right now, has a pretty significant undocumented community. And we know that the numbers that are coming out, Latinos, black people have been disproportionately harmed. Do you know about the undocumented community there? Are they providing services for undocumented people? Are they even factoring undocumented people into the numbers? What is your knowledge on that?
No, of course not. I mean, Homestead, which is a agricultural community in the sort of southernmost tip of Miami-Dade County, you know, farm workers have been disproportionately affected. At the Homestead Hospital, they've been, filling up the ICU beds. Remember that Miami-Dade County was the first county to capitulate with Trump's immigration crackdown when he first gained office. In terms of, they passed a county ordinance forcing law enforcement to honor detainer requests, which means holding people for ICE to come pick them up, right? So there's already a climate of fear. When you go to get tested right now at the Marlins Stadium in Little Havana, a predominantly, immigrant community, there are signs that say that you need a driver's license to get tested. That's not actually the case. Like, you can show any ID, whether US or foreign, but just the fact that you go there and there's police everywhere, there's people in National Guard, Army fatigues all over the place, and you see a sign that says that you need a driver's license. If you're an undocumented immigrant without a driver's license, because remember, Florida is one of those states where undocumented immigrants can't access a driver's license. It's not like New York, right, that recently passed that. You get afraid. So a lot of people get there, they immediately turn around. They're like, no, I am not going to be here without my license. There's too much police around. And then if you happen to, decide to go through it, you get tested. Corp, you actually need a social security or a driver's license number to retrieve the results. How does that make any sense? That's not good public. It's not only inhumane. It's just pragmatically speaking, it's bad public policy. Like, we want everyone to get tested. We want everybody to know if they're sick. And there's a huge population that lives under fear in this county, in this state, that does not have access to those resources. And everything that they're doing they face obstacles around it.
So basically, where are we going now? Because we got 13 days, July 26th, the extended $600 is up for people unemployed. I'm assuming landlords in Florida are chomping at the bit. Moratoriums are lifting on evictions. So as Florida is the epicenter right now, Florida, Arizona, Texas, but Miami area is the epicenter in Florida, is Governor DeSantis talking about putting, continuing the moratorium on evictions, additional relief from the government? I mean, I know obviously we're waiting on federal help. What is he talking about in terms of relief and certainty for people? Because we're about 2 weeks from the economic cliff.
That's a great question. Honestly, the last moratorium on evictions, advocacy organizations were pressuring him to extend it, and he extended it within hours of it, within hours of that moratorium expiring. Can you imagine if you have to pay rent, right? If you're a small business, a family, and you're just waiting anxiously to see if the governor is gonna extend the moratorium, and he's waiting until that last possible minute to do so. It's cruel. It's inhumane. And you ask a really great question. What's gonna happen when that moratorium is lifted, right? Because it's not rent forgiveness. Like, people still have to pay all those months. Things are worse than ever. People haven't been able to get their unemployment claims. And if they've had to live, right? They have to buy groceries, they have to buy things for their kids, so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Unreal. Any last words? Obviously, you're passionate about this. And, in a way, it almost looks like whether just through morons and negligence or intentional, it just seems like a genocide going on, because you got a lot of old people there who are easily susceptible to. You have a governor living on another planet with his head up a president's ass who's living on another planet. What's your parting words for people?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to tell people that, we need better, leaders. We need better political leadership. We deserve better, right? We deserve a lot better than this. These people are playing political games with our lives at this point. So just, continue speaking out. Don't be afraid of challenging power, when it's right to do so. And just speak out. Just speak out and get involved. Because people, you normally, and you should be involved anytime, right? But now people are dying every day. So need everyone involved pushing back against what's happening.
And you have any ideas or plans to run for office yourself, or?
No, not me. But I work as a community organizer for an organization called United We Dream. So I'm happy to continue doing that. Supporting my immigrant community and helping other people. Run for office and get political power. We need more people. We need people in power that are going to represent our values, that are going to fight for us, and are not just there because of their egos or narcissism or to make money and enrich themselves. We need people that are going to embody public service.
Good parting words. Thanks for what you're doing, and keep in touch.
Thank you, Jordan.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.